There's a pattern, a simple rule that has destroyed every major empire in history. It isn't conquest or revolution. It's economic collapse, driven by the death of the empire's own currency. And it happens the exact same way, every single time. This isn't just a historical theory. It's a blueprint, a 7-stage script that has played out 4 times in recorded history. Each time, the leaders in power believed they were different, that their empire was special, that the old rules of money no longer applied to them. They were wrong, every single time. And right now, in 2025, the United States of America is following that exact same script, step by step, warning sign by warning sign. This is the story of how empires destroy themselves. How a simple rule when gold doubles, empires collapse, signals the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. To understand what's coming next, we must first look back. We start where the blueprint was first forged. We start with Rome. At its peak, the Roman Empire was the most advanced civilization on Earth. Its currency, the denarius, was a silver coin trusted everywhere. For centuries, it held its value because the government maintained its purity, nearly 95% pure silver. Real value. But empires are expensive. To fund endless wars and lavish spending, the Roman government did what every empire eventually does. They debased the currency. Emperor Nero was the first to significantly reduce the silver content to 90%. It was a stealth tax, allowing him to mint more coins from the same amount of silver. But it was just the beginning. By the time of Emperor Caracalla, the denarius was down to 50% silver. By 265 AD, under Emperor Gallienus, it had fallen to a pathetic 5%. A copper coin with a thin silver wash that rubbed off in your hand. The people weren't fooled. Prices exploded. Farmers refused to sell food for the worthless coins. Soldiers, the foundation of the empire's power, demanded to be paid in gold. The market's vote of no confidence was cast. The price of a single gold coin, the aureus, which was once worth 25 denarii, was now worth thousands, then millions. The denarius had collapsed. This wasn't caused by foreign invasion. It was self-inflicted. The Roman government destroyed its own money, and when the money died, the empire died with it. By 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire officially fell, not because its enemies were stronger, but because Rome could no longer afford to exist. Now, let's jump forward 12 centuries to the 1500s. The Spanish Empire. Thanks to the discovery of the Americas, Spain now controlled the richest territories on Earth, including a literal mountain of silver in Potosi, Bolivia. The Spanish silver dollar became the world's first global currency. Spain was unimaginably rich. And then, exactly like Rome, they destroyed themselves. There's a paradox with money. More of it doesn't make you richer if the supply of goods doesn't increase. As Spain flooded Europe with silver, it triggered a price revolution, massive inflation. Prices across the continent quadrupled in a century. Worse, Spain wasn't building a productive economy. It was just extracting wealth from its colonies and spending it on endless wars and luxury goods from other countries. The silver flowed in from the New World and flowed right back out to Spain's rivals. King Philip II, despite controlling half the world's silver, was drowning in debt. He declared bankruptcy in 1557, then again in 1575, and again in 1596. 4 defaults in 40 years. Each default shattered trust. To raise funds, the government resorted to the old Roman trick, currency debasement. They minted copper coins called vellon and declared them to be as valuable as silver. The market knew better. The real money, gold and silver, doubled and tripled in value against the trash currency. The wealthy hoarded the hard assets. The poor and the middle class were wiped out. By the 1700s, The Spanish Empire was a hollowed-out shell. But this blueprint isn't just about metal coins. Let's travel east to 14th century China. The Ming Dynasty, the most advanced economy on Earth, tried something revolutionary. They abolished metal coins as currency and introduced the world's first major government-mandated fiat paper money, the Great Ming Treasure Note. On paper, it was a brilliant idea, a modern system to manage the economy. But what did they do? Exactly what Rome did. They couldn't resist the printing press. To fund their military and grand projects, they printed more and more and more. Crucially, these notes were not convertible into gold or silver. Their only value was the government's promise. And by the early 15th century, that promise was worthless. The paper money suffered catastrophic hyperinflation, losing over 99% of its value. The people refused to accept the notes. The market, by force of the people's will, remonetized itself on silver. Silver, imported from Japan and the Spanish Americas, became the real money. But in the 1600s, that flow of silver stopped. A silver famine gripped China. The value of silver, measured against the copper coins peasants used, skyrocketed. Peasants earned in copper, but owed taxes in silver, an impossible gap. The result was famine, desperation, and a massive peasant rebellion that toppled the Ming Dynasty in 1644. Whether metal or paper, the rule held. When the common money collapses against the hard asset, the empire falls. Which brings us to the most powerful empire of all, Britain. At its peak in the 1920s, the British Empire governed a quarter of the world's population. Its currency, the pound sterling, was the undisputed global reserve currency, anchored by the gold standard. Trust, stability, and power. But then came the World Wars. To fund the immense cost of World War I, Britain suspended the gold standard and printed money. Its national debt exploded by over 10,000%. After the war, they tried to return to gold, but the damage was done. The pound was overvalued, crushing the British economy. After World War II, Britain was victorious but bankrupt, utterly dependent on loans from the United States. At the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944, the torch was officially passed. The US dollar, pegged to gold at $35 an ounce, became the new world anchor. The pound was relegated to a secondary currency, fixed at an artificially high rate against the dollar. Britain was pretending its money was stronger than it was. You cannot pretend forever. The market always finds the truth. On September 18, 1949, the breaking point arrived. The British government announced a massive 30.5% devaluation of the pound overnight. Because the dollar was pegged to gold, this was a catastrophic devaluation of the pound against gold. The price of gold in pounds shot up instantly. It was the signal, the end of Britain's financial reign. Within 30 years, the empire was gone. Not through military defeat, but through debt and currency collapse. Which brings us to now. The United States, the current empire, the current reserve currency, and every single warning sign that destroyed Rome, Spain, the Ming Dynasty, and Britain is flashing red. Let's identify the 7 stages of the pattern, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Stage 1, dominance. The empire is at its peak. Its currency is trusted and backed by a real asset, like gold or silver. Stage 2, overextension. The empire expands beyond its means militarily and socially. The costs become unsustainable. Stage 3, deficit spending. The empire begins to spend far more than it earns, funding the gap by borrowing. Stage 4. Stage 4. Currency debasement. Unable to tax or borrow enough, the government turns to the final resort, creating more money from thin air, either by clipping coins or today by using the printing press. Stage 5. Inflation. As the money supply explodes without a corresponding increase in goods, prices skyrocket. The value of savings is destroyed. Stage 6. Loss of confidence. The people and other nations realize the currency is being destroyed. They begin to abandon seeking refuge in hard assets. Stage 7. Collapse. The economic system fails. The currency becomes worthless or loses its reserve status. The empire can no longer fund its military or maintain control. Now, look at the United States. After 1944, the U.S. was in Stage 1. The dollar was the anchor of the world, as good as gold. But then came Stage 2, overextension. The Vietnam War, massive social programs, nearly 800 military bases around the world. This led to Stage 3, deficit spending. By the 1960s, America was printing more dollars than it had gold to back them. This forced Stage 4, currency debasement. On August 15, 1971, President Nixon severed the dollar's final link to gold. The dollar became a pure fiat currency, backed by nothing but a government promise. This immediately unleashed Stage 5, inflation. The price of gold, the market's true measure, doubled by 1973. It was the signal, the beginning of the end. Over the next 50 years, the U.S. government and the Federal Reserve have engaged in the largest money printing experiment in human history, especially after 2008 and 2020. The U.S. national debt has spiraled to an unpayable $36 trillion. And now we are entering Stage 6, loss of confidence. The inflation we feel every day is the symptom. The world is waking up. The BRICS nations are actively creating alternatives to the dollar, settling trade in their own currencies. Central banks around the world are buying gold at the fastest pace in recorded history. They are preparing for a world where the dollar is no longer dominant. They are abandoning the currency. The pattern is unmistakable. The math is unforgiving. History gives us the blueprint. It shows us the end of the story. The only question is how it plays out. This time, however, it's different. When Rome, Spain, or Britain fell, they were regional powers. The US dollar is the foundation of the entire global financial system. Its collapse will be global. This brings us to the Great Deception. As people sense this decay, they are looking for an escape. And right on cue, a miraculous digital solution appears: Bitcoin. It's presented as the ultimate escape, decentralized, anonymous, free from the control of the very governments debasing our money. It's a brilliant, captivating story. And it is the perfect honeypot. Ask yourself, in a world where the powerful control the flow of information and finance, how does a technology that supposedly strips them of their ultimate power, the control of money, just appear from a nameless, faceless ghost? It is a digital snare designed to catch everyone smart enough to see the collapse of fiat currency, but not wise enough to see the real solution. Bitcoin depends on infrastructure they control: the internet, the power grid, and the digital exchanges. They can make it illegal. They can tax it at 90%. They can shut down the on-ramps and off-ramps in an afternoon, turning it to zero. It is a digital ghost. You cannot hold it. If you cannot physically possess it, you do not own it. So while they are herding the masses into a digital corral, what are the central banks and the oldest, most powerful families in the world actually buying? They are not buying strings of code. They are buying heavy, yellow metal. They are buying gold in record, unprecedented amounts. They are telling you one thing and doing the complete opposite. That is the only signal you need to see. This is the playbook. Gold is the defense. Silver is the transactional money of the people. Real, tangible assets are the generational arc. It's about trading their paper promises and digital ghosts for real-world value. The blueprint is clear. The signal was given 50 years ago. The empire's money is broken. The only question left is, will you be on the receiving end of the greatest wealth transfer in history? Or will you be like the Roman citizens, left holding worthless coins? The choice is yours. If you are ready to continue decoding the financial myths that shape our world, subscribe to Economythics and click the notification bell.